Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go!
Well, let's get right to it. Another installment of Ballsy Uncut. I want to remind you, we've got the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game shows. You see the shirt over my shoulder coming up following the Riders-Argonauts game on Friday. First Friday night football game of the season for the Rough Riders, who come in 2-0. The Argos, defending champs, desperate on home turf. They are 0-2. Riders, last I saw, 2.5-point favorites on the road. So, three teams are 2-0. Three teams are 0-2. We'll get to some more CFL talk in a minute, but the Stanley Cup wraps up once again, and all of a sudden this has become a sport for Floridians. You had Tampa go to 3 Stanley Cups and win 2. Now you've got Florida go to 3 Stanley Cups and win 2. Back-to-back championships over the Oilers. Last year it was 7 games. This year it was 6 games. And it really wasn't a 6-game series. Even though I'm an Oilers fan, I got to admit Florida, the much better team. Their last 3 wins in the series were by scores of 6-1, 5-2, and 5-1. Last night, 5-1. Now, 2 empty net goals. 4 goals in all by Sam Bennett. 2 of those were empty netters. And then, of course, if you remember in Game 4, they were up 3-0 before the Oilers had that once-in-a-blue moon comeback where they won that game and forced that series even at 2 apiece, and then just got their doors blown off the last 2 games. The Florida top guys were better than the Oilers top guys. Well, I don't know if I can really say that, because Edmonton had the leading scorers in the playoffs. But in this series, yeah, the Florida top guys were the better guys. Sam Bennett leading the way, 15 goals. He's the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, much as I don't like the guy. Matthew Tkachuk came on at the end, as much as I don't like the guy. Florida's depth guys obliterated Edmonton's depth guys. The Oilers got depth scoring all the way up to the Stanley Cup final. And then Florida had, I don't know, what did they have? How many guys had 20 points? It felt like the whole team had 20 points in the playoffs. And when you get that many guys adding points to the mix, you are going to be real good. So Florida's depth better than the Oilers' depth. And Florida's goaltending. Sergei Bobrovsky goes pillar to post the entire playoffs. The 30-something-year-old goalie, 2 Vezinas, 2 Stanley Cups, a World Hockey Championship. He is he's a Hall of Famer. And at the other end, the Oilers had Calvin Pickard, who was 7-1 in the playoffs, and Stuart Skinner, who when he's on is outstanding, and when he's not, is not spectacular at all. He made some great saves in the first period. In the second period, he let a muffin in. Well, let a rebound out that should have been stopped. And then Florida makes it 3-0, and that was the game right there. Sorry, guys, I got something in my eye here. Anyway, I don't know, did the Oilers ditch Skinner and try to get a number 1 goalie? Problem is, Skinner's 26 and he's showing flashes. But the thing is, he's 26 and he's showing flashes. He hasn't shown us he can be the guy. So I don't know if you move on from him. I don't know that you move on from him, but maybe he's your backup goalie. You try to find somebody else. Problem is, goaltending's like quarterbacking in football. Once you get a good one, you don't want to let him go. So I don't know what your upgrade will be. You're going to have to give McDavid an extension. You're going to have to give Bouchard money. So you may be stuck with Skinner. And then if you're stuck with Skinner, are you stuck with the same type of situation? The Oilers do have to make some moves, because the ice was tilted in that Stanley Cup final. And the Florida Panthers, the scary thing is, the Florida Panthers are still young. We got a dynasty setting up there in Florida, maybe. And I like Paul Maurice. I think he's a good coach. I think he's good for the game. Getting a little too big for his britches, though. Every time he's on the mic, it's got to be a comedy act. Although I have to say, I don't like the same quotes from the same, hockey's very boring for quotes. So I guess maybe I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Maybe it's just me being mad because his team beat my team 2 years in a row. So I'll back that comment back. I am happy, though, that Knobloch went out to the ice surface to shake hands and force Maurice to do it. That's where Paul's trying to become too bigger than the game. So, yeah. Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champs once again. What else did I want to talk about here? I had a couple other things I jotted down. Forgive me. When when your team loses, you're kind of down. It's almost like it's kind of a funeral-like feel, like you've been on this ride for 2 months, and my son and my cousin in Edmonton, we've been texting back and forth, kind of like a brotherhood, ups, the downs, the roller coasters, and get to the edge once again and lose. In fact, I was driving here in White City. I couldn't bear to watch the third period, so I went to get some dog treats from Walmart. And as I'm coming back, this mom is walking her young baby in a stroller, and her son might be 6, wearing a McDavid jersey and an Oiler hat. And I pulled up beside them, and I said, I said, he said, hey, kid, I'm feeling bad, too. And he couldn't even look at me. He was crying, and his mom she was like, oh, no, I'm trying to cheer him up. Brighter times ahead. I'm hopeful McDavid and Draisaitl get their Stanley Cup. Hopefully it's in Edmonton, but we shall see. So I wanted to get to a couple of other things that I saw. I haven't been on here since Father's Day. And 2 NFL teams, the Falcons and the Titans, were taking heat online after making a pride post, but not saying Happy Father's Day to dads on Father's Day. And the Titans even went so far to say Happy Father's Day to mums, but not dads. Okay, a couple of things. I actually have always given gifts when I was married. I gave a gift to my wife on Father's Day for making me a dad, and I do give my significant other Father's Day gift on Father's Day, like a gift on Father's Day, not a Father's Day gift, for being a great, for making somebody else a father, because she brought Nathan into the world, and for treating my kids like her own. So, yes, I do that. So I'm not going to bust the Titans' balls for that. But you're wishing Happy Father's Day to mums, but not Happy Father's Day to dads. And you're not saying Happy Father's Day to fathers on Father's Day, but we'll make posts about pride. And I have nothing against posting about whatever you want to honor, have at her. But why are dads? Why are men shunned in society? I don't get it. This whole glass ceiling and everything, and all of a sudden, the men have pushed down so many people for years, women for years. Listen, I think fathers, if we didn't have women, we wouldn't have kids, because by and large, men do not have the pain tolerance of women. I have a lot of respect for women, but the breakdown of society is the lack of fathers in kids' lives, both boys and girls. Being a dad is very important. Being a dad is an honorable position. Men should treat it as such, and they should be treated as such. Give me a break. The Chargers were initially one of those teams too. So there were 3 teams taking heat, but then it was showing on Instagram and X that the Chargers also did post something about dads, the players' pictures with their kids. So I almost was going to change allegiances and pick another NFL team, even though I'm a diehard Chargers fan. So, I can stay a Chargers fan and have my heart broken for more years to come. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. And on Sunday in Montreal, F1 star Lewis Hamilton hit a gopher on the 13th lap of the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. And it may have cost him the race, but he's more concerned about the groundhog. Lewis is a vegan and an animal lover, and he said, quote, he was devastated that he hit it. I'm so sad about it. It's horrible. It's never happened to me before. I just hope it didn't suffer. The groundhog did do damage to the car. So, Lewis, you maybe lost the race because you hit a gopher. There are a lot of farmers in Saskatchewan that would say, fuck the gopher. Now, there's one gopher that we don't say fuck the gopher to, and that's Gainer the gopher, and Rider Nation would be with you in that sentiment. Everybody's behind the gopher. Lewis, in that sense, we want more of the gopher, I think, at Mosaic Stadium. That's the question. Where did the gopher go? Why less of the gopher? That was a great Saskatchewan Rough Riders tradition. He'd bring the Tiger Cat to center field and beat the hell out of it on the field. He'd defend offense. He was funny. He entertained the kids. He entertained the drunk adults. But we got to mess with tradition. I don't get it. Bring back Gaynor more. Come on. It's the same old boring presentation at Mosaic Stadium. They've got two great in-stadium hosts, for sure, but it's the same old boring presentation at Mosaic. I wonder why nobody's going to the games. Bring back Gaynor. As far as running over animals, I'm not into that, although I'm not going to lie to you. When I built my house up in North Regina back in the day, could not stand rabbits. Still can't stand them. At 4 a.m, driving to the radio station, I used to try to go to my way to hit rabbits. Not gonna lie. That's the truth. I hate them. I hate rabbits. Anyway, coming up, we're going to hear from a great defender in the CFL. That would be Michael Griffin II, formerly of the Stamps, now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're getting set to take on the BC Lions, maybe Nathan Rourke-less BC Lions, as he is still bothered by that oblique injury he suffered in their Week 1 loss to the Bombers. This is Ballsy Uncut. Michael Griffin II joining me. How are you, bud?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome, man. So tell me about the pink in your hair there. Give me what's that all about?
I really get bored sometimes. So usually it's black. Most people have the black rubber bands and stuff, but I like to be a little different. So I add different colors in every now and then. So sometimes I'm blue, pink, green, and everything.
Yeah, so I was in my mind, I was like, you're a little early for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's a question for you, because I don't have any hair. How do you stuff that hair in a helmet, man, and stay comfortable?
So I just flip it back and then put a cap on.
Okay, and it stays pretty good? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. You can answer this if you want or you don't, because I've been around this league a lot and talked to guys with... And listen, I don't have a hair fetish, but I would like to have more. Okay, so do you take air do you reduce the air in your helmet to fit it in there, or no? You can squeeze it in.
No, it doesn't really change much. My hair's not really like thick and puffy, so it kind of just slides in. I don't really mess with the hair and stuff. Okay.
Hey, let me ask you, how do you like those skull caps that you guys, or whatever the heck they call it, that you wear in practice?
Oh, they're nice. Well, they get kind of heavy sometimes, but I mean, I get the premise behind it. I think it looks funny, but otherwise, I mean, I get what they're trying to do with it.
Yeah, so like I'm all for player safety, obviously. I got a kid playing too, and same age as you. But my thing is this, the sexiest part of the uniform is the helmet. I love how it glistens. I'd hate to see it get dulled off by one of those skull caps or whatever.
Right. It does take it away from the look a little bit, but that makes it more special on game day, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you like the bye in the first week? Was that something that was advantageous coming out of training camp?
This is my first time getting the bye. So, I mean, it was okay after camp. We had a pretty tough camp, a lot of work and stuff. It was okay to get the body, but people are kind of antsy right after camp and want to just get to the games and stuff. So you kind of have that dynamic. But, I mean, body-wise, it was nice. But mindset, I wanted to play right away.
Yeah. What do you like about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? You were with the Calgary Stampeders coming out of college. What do you like about the Blue Bombers?
There's a few things. I love this place just in general. One of my main things is that the team aspect of it, like from top down, from the GMs to the whole organization, is just family oriented, and we know we have like a winning culture. And so everything we do is with a purpose, and you're held accountable like real professionals, where you're expected to do your job, but you can also have fun at the same time. So being able to have fun while doing something you love, because it's still a game, but it's still a job, and we have that cool dynamic going on where everyone knows what we're supposed to do, and we can get it done.
You know, I've said this before, and Ethan kind of backed it up when I talked to him. When you're going to college like you were at South Dakota State, they got you. You're at the facility a lot. If you're not in school, you're at the facility a lot. In the NFL, same type of thing. In the CFL, you have a lot of time in your hands. So do you find you have to be a very disciplined guy? Like, listen, you're a professional athlete. That is your job. But guys can kind of stray away from that when they got a lot of time in their hands. How do you stay disciplined, Michael?
So what I do is I need time to balance. So I immediately do all my stuff. So when I'm in the facility, I do all football stuff after practice. If I got to get a lift in, I got to get treatment, all that stuff. And then when I go home, I take a minute to reset. I'll probably take a nap or something, or cook dinner or something. But then at the end of the day, I always finish my night with film. And then I have a whiteboard, so I draw out all my plays and then scenarios and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I keep myself in line.
Yeah, so you're a fast, quick guy, but we talk about playing fast. How much does watching film and learning how to watch film help you play at an even faster level?
Well, the game is so mental. I always say it's 90% mental and 10% physical and all that stuff. So the more you can believe it and see it in your head, the faster you can play. So watching film and, getting the stuff that the coaches prepare you for, but watching it on your own and seeing it through your own lens, it makes you play a lot faster because it's like you've been there before and you've done it. So now you're just reacting to it instead of trying to guess.
Okay, so I don't know if you'll find this a strange question. Who taught you how to watch film? Because you can watch, like I can sit in front of game tape, and I've coached lower level football and never made it in the pros, but I know how to watch film, but not as good as you guys. So who taught you how to watch film?
Yeah, I'm still learning too, but I learned a little bit from my coaches, but also some players. So there's some people who spend all day watching film. They study a lot. They get all their they spend most of their day and all their tips in film. So I kind of go to those people and I say, well, like, what are you looking for? Because sometimes when I watch it, I get lost just watching the game and not really, what details. But I learn from people around me, the people who find success with their film, and then some people who would look at it a little bit different. So I try to bounce ideas and stuff off of them and then tailor it to what I see.
So how much is it that do you like playing for kind of like a player's coach, not just Mike O'Shea, but Jordan Younger, a young guy that's kind of, he's kind of young like you guys. What's it like, being coached by him? And then you got the veteran guy, my friend Richie Hall, who's kind of the senior consultant too.
Yeah, JY's got such a brilliant football mind. I don't even know how he comes up with some of the stuff that he comes up, but it's nice because he can relate. And so sometimes a lot of people get into the whole, they forgot what it was like when they played thing, and then just get like a coaching mindset. But he's able to balance his coaching and his player days. So he really understands, like, when I tell you to do something, it's not just because it's my ego, my coaching style. It's because I understand, like I've been there before. So he makes it so easy for us. He gives us options and tools, and it's relatable and stuff. So it's really nice.
So have you young guys, ever YouTube Richie Hall? Because he's a short little guy. He used to be called Pint. The Rough Riders, I know that's a bad word around there, but the Rough Riders have won 4 championships, and he's been around for 3 of them as a Rough Rider guy, okay? Besides his Bombers glory. But have you ever YouTubed him how like a 5'7" DB could have an accomplished career in the CFL like that?
I heard the stories, but I need to check him out on YouTube. I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, he's loved here in this province. Okay, so talk about what was the biggest adjustment coming up from the United States to play, and did you know much about the CFL when you came here?
I had zero idea. I've heard of the CFL before. I never knew what it was like. The only thing I knew is that they had 12 people on the field. That was the only thing I had. So I was spending a lot of time on YouTube watching the game to see if I could try to pick up on stuff. But really, until you get here, the biggest difference is the space. Like everything in the NFL in America is tight, where it's all timing routes. You got to be here at a certain time. But the CFL, you have so much space. So figuring out how you can, cheat with the waggles and all that kind of stuff, and getting the timing of the waggles down, and also getting to where you need to be is probably the biggest difference.
Yeah, so receivers talk about spacing when they come up here, and they don't have to be so fast on their route. They can take their time. Conversely, How does that affect a Sam linebacker or a defensive back like yourself?
Well, with the spacing, you got to know, so quarterbacks are good these days, and you're not just playing against the players, you also got the coordinators, right? So everyone can see when you're standing at this spot, he might be going this place, he might go that. So then you got to start getting into your disguises and all that. So being able to understand, how can you disguise, but also get to where you need to go. It's hard to find that balance, but when you get a hang of it, like the receivers will be way out there, and you're like, they can only run so much stuff. with that, because that's a super long throw. So you can kind of cheat that way.
But when the defense is really in a bind, especially as an American learning the game, I would think, when it's from about the 10-yard line in, because in America, you only have the 10-yard end zone, so they can only go so far. You still got another 10 yards, and it's wide. So it's almost like, holy shit, there's still a lot to cover here.
Right, yeah. That was one thing that got me my rookie year. We spent a lot of time in camp, in the middle of the field and stuff. But then when you get in the red zone, you don't really realize, like, they still have like 20 yards behind me. So you got to play it true and honest, but also with a sense of urgency. It's a hard balance, but that's a huge adjustment too.
The one thing my son has told me is Mike O'Shea, who I've said this before, he was a dirty player. He played on the edge. I was doing sideline reporting when he grabbed the guy's ankle and tried to basically just take it off his leg, okay? But he likes his football team to play sound, clean football. Talk about that mentality in the locker room.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, you win games just based off of penalties and field position error. So because it's such a game of inches and stuff, as much as you can get an advantage is to your benefit. So when you play a clean game, the statistics show that most of the time you're going to win the game. So our whole mentality is do what we do and do it as clean as possible, and then it takes care of the rest.
Now, forgive me. I've covered this league for 30 years. You had a touchdown in your first year with the Stampeders, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. You remember it, I don't. So tell me what strikes you about that play?
So I believe we were punting on towards their side. It might have been our sideline. And one of our teammates, actually, he's our teammate now, Josh Haggerty, he was blocking me. But they have rules where they can't block within a certain yard line, and so they kind of just let you go. And there was a tendency that, the returner is kind of sloppy with the way he catches the ball. Mm-hmm. So if you beat your man, be ready for him to, lose the ball. So we try to kick directionally. And he just so happened to muff the punt on the ones that we had scouted him on. And I just remember, not to panic, the ball's on the ground, and just scoop and score. And then I just so happened it was perfect right there in front of me.
So I don't know, Michael, forgive me. Do you play a lot of special teams as well as defense?
I do, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have a lot of respect for Roland Milligan of the Rough Riders, because he's a lockdown defensive back and plus a special teams leader. Just talk about how hard it is to play defense and then play special teams, because that is a wear and tear in your body. Okay, good.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a mindset. I play all four special teams. They try to, since I've been playing more defense, they try to give me a break a little bit more. But I am a big teams guy. That's how I worked my way into the league in the first place. And so you can't really be prepared for it other than to just do it. It's really a mindset, like I got to fight and earn my paycheck this game. And so special teams up here is just as important as defense. So you take your role seriously. I'm a gunner on punt and stuff. And so one of my focuses is to be one of the best gunners in the league. So that would keep me with a job as well as defense. So
what's your favorite special team?
Punt for sure.
Yeah, punt for sure. Okay. And how was it getting used to the halo, which I like? Listen, I love our kicking game. Anybody that wants to change the kicking game, like even Luke Wilson, he's like, we should change the kicking game. Leave it. Excuse my language. Leave it the fuck alone. I love the Canadian game that way.
Me too, actually. I like how you can. It's like a whole mini game within a game. A lot of in the States, it's fair catches most of the time, and so kind of takes an aspect of the game away, but it's more exciting up here because with the halo rule, you got to be more creative. With the way you get down there and stuff, because if you stop and sit up, someone can come and block you again and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think it's more entertaining that way with the halo.
Yeah. Okay. And lastly, I like it takes a lot to be a halfback in this league, especially a boundary halfback. But outside of quarterback, probably the toughest position is that Sam linebacker spot. Talk about that, because you got to be in the box, you got to be athletic enough to cover. Like, that is an unbelievable position to play.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of my things is I've always wanted to be the most versatile I can be, so I can stay on the field. So. Yeah, you got to cover, you got to tackle, you got to be good in space, you got to blitz. Sometimes you are DN essentially. And so you get all the action, so you got to be prepared for it. But that's why in the off season, you got to do a bunch of training for football. You're not just a specialist, you're a football player. So you got to be ready to play all over the field.
Okay, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? Lastly, is this true? Is your nickname Muscles? I heard your nickname is Muscles. My son said your nickname is Muscles. I said, how big's that Griffin guy? Because I broadcast games when I was the voice of the Riders when you were on the Stamps, but I'm
Yeah,
way up there, right? I didn't see it.
right.
He said, this guy's not overly tall, but he is. His nickname's Muscles. That'll tell you. So, like, how do you get so muscly, dude?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is genetics, I guess. I work hard. I work to get. I'm about 220, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I bully some receivers, so they call me Muscles McGriff.
I
That's
love
one
it.
of my nicknames.
I love it. Hey, but one last question: Can you be too muscly, or do you concentrate on yoga and stretching too? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I make sure I'm flexible. I never wanted to be a big stiff, muscle head. It's important to be flexible because you stay away from injuries as well. So
Who's got better muscles, you or Strevler?
me, of course.
Well, I can tell you what, you got better hair. Thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Best of luck in BC.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, before we wrap the show up, let's get to some power rankings and the bests and busts of week number 2 as we head into week number 3 in the CFL. Here are the power rankings according to yours truly. At number 9, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I expected more from the Tiger Cats to start the season. Actually, I don't know if I did because I picked them to lose their first 2 games, so maybe I didn't. Talking out of both sides of my mouth in this show quite a bit. Their secondary doesn't look too good right now, and Bo's still trying to get on page with his receivers, especially his new favorite target, Kenny Lawler. I think they'll still be in the mix in the East, but the East off to that traditional slow start once again. Every 1 out of 5 or 6 years, the East has a strong start to the year. This wouldn't be one of those years. So I got Hamilton at 9. I got Toronto at 8. Their quarterbacking has been an issue. Of course, Chad Kelly's still on the shelf. As we talk right now, he'll probably miss this week's action against the Rough Riders. So Nick Arbuckle gets the start once again. Maybe it's the Grey Cup hangover, but I've got the Toronto at 8. Ottawa at 7. Can't get a pass rush and can't really cover anybody, and they got injuries on offense. And they put up a strong effort against the Riders before, Drew Brown was a starting quarterback there, got hurt towards the end of the game. That was in week 1. Against Montreal, they were outclassed big time. So I got them at 7. At 6, I got the Edmonton Elkamos as they opened up their season with a loss against the BC Lions. A couple 3-4 flash plays from Trey Ford. They'll need more consistent quarterbacking from him on Thursday when they open up at home against the Montreal Alouettes. Big game for the Elks. They got to show that they are going to put on a winning product on home turf, but the bad news for them is they got to do it against the Alouettes. So I got Edmonton at 6. At 5, I got the BC Lions. They got some injury problems now at quarterback. Nathan Rourke with that oblique injury. Jeremiah Masoli was getting a lot of the first team reps earlier here in the week. So we'll see if he's the starting quarterback for the game on Saturday against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But I got the BC Lions at 5, whose offensive line hasn't been spectacular to start the season. At number 4, the Calgary Stampeders, who came in with a lot of heat this year, needing to get back to the Stampeders' winning ways after back-to-back 6-12 seasons, including missing the playoffs for the first time since Jesus was a carpenter. They missed the playoffs last year. Calgary's off to a 2-0 start. It was a boring defensive kind of win against Toronto, but Dave Dickinson will take that, and it improves them to 2-0. They've got a good matchup this week coming to town. It's the Ottawa Red Blacks, a chance to go to 3-0. Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 3. Everybody's waiting for the Bombers to fall off the cliff. They showed that they're going to be very much a formidable foe. Did it without Zach Collaros. Brady Oliveira has a upper body injury. We're hearing that it's I don't know, there's talk, he could be out for a while or he might not be out that long. Mike O'Shea wasn't really into answering any questions about that. He's not a big fan of the media. So, although the Bombers, as you just saw with Michael Griffin II, very accommodating, Darren Cameron, their outstanding communications guru, helping me line up guests. But Matthew Peterson stepped in nicely for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and their offensive line is, if it stays healthy, it's the best in the CFL. With all due respect to how the Riders' O-line is playing right now, Bombers have the best offensive line, and their defense, once again, flying around. So Bombers at 3. At 2, I got the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The offensive line with some early season injuries, but they're figuring it out. Great job there, getting that done. They've got a great 1-2-3 combination if Houdon is back healthy, but how do you get all three on the roster? I'm talking about A.J. Ouellette, who, hey, competition's not a bad thing. We said that in the Our Balls Are Bigger postgame show. Kadeem Carey, a 1,000-yard rusher, gets into the fold, and Ouellette all of a sudden is healthy and running. So Ouellette, Carey, and Thomas the Train give them a nice 1-2-3 combination in the backfield. Sam Emelis is emerging into elite receiver. Keyshawn Johnson comes up big at the end of that game for the Rough Riders. So I've got the Riders at 2, and the Montreal Alouettes with their depth at Canadian talent. Listen, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's not some big revelation. You win in this league with above average to great quarterbacking and above average to great Canadian starting talent, and then good depth along the way. That's how you win in the CFL. It's a thinking man's game in terms of how you set your roster and how you build your roster in the offseason. That's why that's another reason why the ratio is important. You got some fans online who claim to be CFL fans saying that it's embarrassment we have Canadians playing in the league and that there's a ratio. Get out of here. Go watch the failing UFL, okay? Or go be an American if you want and watch the NFL. I watch the NFL, but the best product for football on the planet is the 3-down game, bar none, and the Canadians are a big part of it. The longest tenured league in football is the CFL, and the Canadian Football League, the big word in that is the Canadian. I just had a great American on, Michael Griffin II. I love the Americans. But the CFL, the Canadian, is the big element in the CFL. So give me a break. All right, Ballsy's Bests and Busts from week 2 as we head to week 3. The best, Matthew Peterson, comes in relief of Brady Oliveira, runs for a long touchdown, a 37-yarder, and 130 yards on the ground. Matthew Peterson, the former U of A Golden Bear, is a best. Another Ballsy's Best is Adrian Green. Came over from the BC Lions to the Calgary Stampeders, had both interceptions off of Nick Arbuckle. One went for a pick 6. So Adrian Green of the Stamps, a best. Also a best, Keyshawn Johnson of the Riders. 4 for 4 on a drive that led them to a touchdown. A key touchdown at the end of that game against Hamilton. Number 3. Where's number 3 for the Rough Riders? Keyshawn Johnson, a Ballsy's Best. And also the Argos crowd in a losing cause of almost 18,000 fans. That was their best crowd for a regular season game. I don't know. I'm talking regular season game in almost 10 years, I would think. So good news there as the Argos doing everything they can on the field, except for the 0-2 start. But let's be honest, winning Grey Cups left and right, most Grey Cup victories in CFL history. Argos doing everything they can on the field and off the field to get the game going there. So kudos to them both on and off the field. So that's a best. The bus, Brett Lothar, missing field goals. Now, Brett's a friend, and I believe in Brett Lothar as not only a player but a person. Brett Lothar will be back. He's a guy that, I don't know, lately he's been starting slow, but he finishes strong. So I have no worries, but he was a bust last week. Maybe look for James Evans, who came over off the Winnipeg Blue Bombers practice roster. My son said, this kid can kick the ball, Dad. Like, he can boom it. And he was booming it at Rough Rider practice and was practicing his hold. So maybe look for a change for the Riders this week. James Evans, the punter, coming over from Winnipeg, an Aussie. And he can kick the stuffing out of the football. So we'll see. Couch has kind of struggled with the punting, in my opinion, and the holds didn't look bad last week, but Brett Lothar obviously not in sync with his holder. Another bust, the Argos quarterback play, Nick Arbuckle, who was solid. Not spectacular, but solid in the Grey Cup win last November in BC. Is off to a sluggish start, and that has helped contribute to an 0-2 start. So the Argos quarterback play a Ballsy's bust. And also, as I alluded to in the power rankings, the Ottawa defense. Can't get a pass rush and a porous secondary. Far too often, Montreal receivers in week 2 were wide open with no red blacks in the vicinity. Like they turned around to get hit and there was nobody there. And it led to Davis Alexander setting a career high with 344 yards passing. Nobody really got to him, I think, once in 32 snaps. And people were running free all day long. So that kind of helps the quarterback numbers out. Be interesting to see how the Edmonton Elks, the Elkamos, play them this week in their home opener. That should be a dandy football game. That is going to do it for my time, or that's all I got for you here on this installment of Ballsy Uncut. Tell all your friends, if you want a shirt, you can DM me or text me 306-526-7979, and I'll get you the information. I'll get your information, get the shirt out. You get me the $25, and away we go. The money goes to ALS, the foundation set up by former CFL linebacker Glenn Love, the Love Life ALS Foundation. So that's going to do it for my time. We will talk to you again this week. And of course, a reminder, following the Riders Argos game, it's the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show.